This rabbi, Rebbe Eliyahu Chaim Rosen, was born in Poland, was orphaned at a young age. Father passed away. And at 12 or 13 years old, he applied for the Lomza Yeshiva, which was one of the top yeshivot in Poland at the time. The youngest age they accepted anybody was 17, 18, and he's 13 or so. And they looked at him and said, go back to grade school. And he said, I'm not going back anywhere. I'm here. Test me. And they tested him and they accepted him with open arms. They saw that he was really very qualified to join the school, and he did very, very well. And then at about the age 17, 18, I believe, he discovered one of Rabbi Nachman's books, got hooked, and traveled from Poland to Ukraine, to Uman, to join the Breslov Chassidim there. And while there, he was, besides growing in Torah and mitzvot, the Mishnah tells us in Pirkei Avot that the world stands on three pillars: Torah, Avodah, and Gemilut Chasadim. Gemilut Chasadim means looking out for the other person. And because he had some contacts in the United States, he would receive packages. This is during the Soviet time, during Soviet communism times. He would receive packages and he would distribute it among the poor people there, all of his friends, this, that, whatever he could, whether it was food or clothing, different things. At one point, he and most of his friends got caught by the KGB. They got caught for other things. They got caught for spreading Judaism under communist rule, which was a major, major crime. And he specifically had a double problem: the issue of Judaism, plus committing this terrible crime of distributing, receiving things from out of the country and distributing. At one point, he was called in for an interrogation by the KGB, and one of the leading Talmidei Chachamim, rabbis in Breslov at the time, was there also. They brought them both in, and they said to the other rabbi, you think he's your friend, Rebbe Eliyahu Chaim. You don't know that people send things to him to give to you, and I'm sure he probably didn't give you anything. The guy said, that's not true. He did give me, not realizing that he's incriminating him. That's what they wanted to hear, The interrogator walked out of the room, and Rebbe Eliyahu Chaim looks at this rabbi. His name was Reb Matis, who was one of the super giants in Breslov at that time, a Talmid Chacham, a tzaddik. And Rebbe Eliyahu Chaim says to him, "You're trying to get me killed?" And the rabbi thought for a moment, and he got it. He realized what this was all about. And he looked at him, and he said, "Who knows? Maybe this is your ticket to Eretz Yisrael. Maybe this is your..." He's looking at him, "This is my ticket to the cemetery." Sure enough, the rabbi is incriminated, and they decide they don't want to try him in some little hick town. They want to send him to Moscow. They want him to be tried there in a court in Moscow, and he and his friend get sent to Moscow and interrogated and everything, and it looks like they're going to be hung. It looks like they're going to be hung, for spreading Judaism and everything. And the night before this was supposed to take place, these two rabbis are in jail in Moscow, and Rebbe Eliyahu Chaim would say years later, "What would I give to have a night like that again?" Meaning, that night he thought was the last night of his life, and he had small children. He said, my main concern wasn't myself. My concern was, if they kill me, if they hang me tomorrow, my kids are orphans. They're going to grow up in the Soviet Union without a daddy, without a father. What chance do they have of retaining any connection to Judaism? And he said that night was spent crying and screaming, silent scream to Hashem, pleading with Hashem to save him. At one point in the middle of the night, a guy comes in, and he looks like an executive, and he says to them, "Are you Eliyahu Chaim? Are you there?" "Yes." He said, "I'm here to get you out. I'm going to get you out of here." And they're figuring, oh, this is another ploy. Who knows what they, who knows what kind of tricks, because this is what they do there. When they interrogate them, to get all kinds of information from them. He says, let me tell you my story. My father was a religious man. I'm Jewish. My father was a religious man. My father was Breslov, and he knew that he couldn't talk to me about religion. He was taken in. The communists, really had ways of programming people, to go with their path. So he never spoke to me about religion. And before he passed away, he said one thing to me: should any Breslovers ever fall into your hands, please do what you can to help them. And he says, this is my opportunity to fulfill the will of my father. I'm gonna get both of you guys out of here. You'll see. And sure enough, he did. He had some kind of, he was obviously some kind of high up. He was able to do it. They were released. And he told them, leave, go. Sure enough, they left. And they realized that even with this protects you everything, a day from now, a week from now, somebody could wake up and decide that they want to look for these guys again. So they immediately made reservations on a boat to get out of the Soviet Union. A day or two into their travel, they found out that they came looking for them, Soviet officers. But by that time they were out. They made it to Israel. They arrived in Israel. This is in the 1930s, I believe, early 1930s. And this rabbi got to Israel and he saw that Breslov at that time was a very, very small community. They didn't have any synagogue or anything. And he immediately started thinking, what do we do? What do you have to do? He was action. And sure enough, they rented a place, et cetera, et cetera. And in those days, there were maybe 30, 40 Breslovers in Israel and maybe in the world. But he understood that it's not going to remain this way. P.S. He made plans to go to the United States for like 6 months. Fundraisers go for 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they think they're doing Hashem the greatest favor. I'm leaving my family for 2 weeks, left for months to go, and sure enough was successful. Came back, not with millions of dollars or anything, but they acquired a small piece of land where there was a hotel, the whole story, small. P.S. Today, when you go to Yerushalayim, in Meah Shearim, the large building, the main central building of Breslov in the state, in Israel, is the building that he started doing the fundraising for. And he met Rabbi Rosenfeld at the time, and he joined forces with him, and both of them together put that building together. And Baruch Hashem, today, that building is operating 24/7, 3 floors, night kollel, morning kollel, kids. They built, in addition to a shul, 2 floors of a shul, the main Breslov shul in Yerushalayim, they added another 3 floors for a cheder, an elementary school, which was paying rent for years and struggling. They said, no. If the engineers say it's okay, put it on top of the shul. And sure enough, they did. And it's a factory generating Torah mitzvot all day. And this rabbi was the one the major push for it at that time.